All right, hello, welcome to. Oh, come on, I can't record. Okay, hello, and welcome to the 2023 Games of the Year. Yeah, right, we're here at last. So this time we've got. Always try and do a few like modifications. So this time we've still got videos for all the games this time, so it's good. And then we're going to have a separate VR section, and then of course at the end we're going to have the Shaddai Award as we always do. So yeah, so I guess the only disclaimer to say at the start of this, because loads of people will be wondering, well, these other games that are like obviously Game of the Year. I only put in games here that I've actually completed. Otherwise, I don't think it's a good idea because your view can change or whatever. So here, with that disclosed, let's do this. Right. So I've got honourable mention. I like to do at the start just before we get into it. So Humanity on PlayStation Plus, brilliant in VR and really cool. The reason it didn't get into the top 10 is because by the third world they got all the cool mechanics in, and then they started throwing in just stupid annoying stuff after that, which is just like dreadful. So they ruined it after that. But yeah, and the last boss is really good. But yeah, the general idea of the game is cool, and if you just want to play user created levels, I guess that's cool as well. But okay, so yeah, let's get straight into it. After that, go straight to numero 10, which is blood and gore and gov language. Gov. Cap cap. So yeah, it's probably on most people's top 10 of the year. Resident Evil 4 Redemption remake. So I mean, what the only reason this isn't high is because obviously we've played it a lot before. Like we know what to expect with RE4, but it was amazing and just captivating from start to finish. As you can no doubt see when I looked at my like Steam, played, it was like, oh, you just played this game solidly until you finished it. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't remember that. So yeah, I mean the upgrades are great, the enemies are great. Even like Ashley is fantastic in this. It's like a really good companion, whereas in the original it just didn't seem good at all. So that was a really nice upgrade. Yeah, look at the amount of like insane, but that's a really good fight. And the last fight is suitably ridiculous. So yeah, all right, Ark, how you doing? So yeah, really cool. Good to see you here, dude. So yeah, I don't think many people are surprised. There's your good old Krauser. That's a good fight as well. I don't remember it being like that at all in the old one. Um, yeah, I mean it's just like nearly everything's a good fight. Good scary bits with the guy with the like metal claws who's like blind. He's amazing. This is cool, like playing as Ashley. So yeah, it's got all the stuff you'd expect. It's just you expect it. Only shot because Lewis doing anything in the game. Actually, segments were good. Hang on. The trouble in these are I need to shut off the video before it gets to the end, otherwise it creates a problem with the thing. So I just need to kind of early do it. Okay, yeah. So that's me number 10. I can totally imagine people having that as number one. Typically, I mean, sorry, especially if you've played it in VR. I haven't played it in VR. They say that's like the best VR game of the year. So if you're adding that as well, then I guess it's even higher because it's just like they do a really good job with their VR renditions. Right, let's see if I can get to number 9 without making a problem here. Right. Fantasy violence. All of the games are going to have violence. Yes, this is an amazing surprise, which I don't think many people know about or have played or care about. It's awesome. This is a game where it's made in Dreams, but it's made by the actual dev team, so it's just a whole game basically. And it's like the old Brio sets. It's just really, really fun, and the soundtrack is mind blowing. I had to download the music myself because no soundtrack exists like at the time it came out. Incredible, and there's some really creative, insane levels in this. They don't all look like this. There's like some really interesting, weird old graphics ones. Yeah, and obviously there's like a level creator and all that. But yeah, extremely good games. The ones that these guys make are great. Like the jazz one is amazing as well. So yeah, look at this. You got your anti-grav, you got your the loops, like 95 tracks. So you just went through all of those. I wasn't going to stop. Got to do the loading stuff. Yeah, absolutely radical. So yeah, I hope more people get into that. And the other thing, quickly to mention, actually, I better shut off the video before it goes to that. The other thing to mention, this didn't get on the list, but because it's probably not even from this year. But the game Lock, if you get Dreams, you got access to all these games. Obviously, this is one of them. Lock is not made by them. It's just a puzzle game made by somebody else. But it's kind of like Fez a bit. Like, I mean, sorry, The Witness, that kind of thing. Absolutely incredible puzzle game. That's just obviously it's quite janky. It's made by one dude, but that is another reason to get Dreams. So yeah, really cool stuff. Right, let's get on to the next one, which is doing this. Mundfish. This is another one which I think is criminally underrated because it came out at the start of the year. I did debate about having this higher because you sort of forget when you get, later on in the year. But Atomic Heart, I was blown away. Like it just felt this is the new BioShock to me, basically. Like getting a game with such interesting art and design. You kind of feel like you've seen everything in the sort of FPS space, but nearly everything in this game is so weird. Right from the start, like the intro is 10 out of 10. And the thing I really liked about it is the voice actors for the main character and his buddy or whatever. That relationship and those voice acting stuff is awesome. And just the sort of sheer difficulty and like fear you get in the open world running around. Like you can go around, but it gets bad fast, and you always want to be upgrading your stuff. Then you've got like these like dungeons almost where you can go to extra places on the map and do these weird puzzle challenges with gravity and everything. They were amazing. Yeah, like some of the revelations are really cool, like amazing boss fights towards the end. The only thing that really is annoying, and it comes up in every review of this, is how to unlock doors. It's like doing the hacking puzzles in Bioshock. Unlocking doors gets so annoying later on. Like, it's an annoying thing to have to do like 10 times anyway, but they make it more complex as you go along, and it's not good. So that's the one thing you don't want. If there's a patch to like just get rid of those, but otherwise, yeah, it really, really kicked ass. So I love Atomic Heart. Right, on to the next one. So, suggestive themes and drogs. Yeah, another one where it's quite hard to place this. This is one of those games where if I'd have played it for like 20 hours and stopped, it might be like number 2 in the year, because it was just... The main part about this game is, obviously you know there's loads of randomly generated planets and sort of side content that's very like low quality. But if you just sort of limit yourself to doing like main story stuff and like main area stuff, it just was so immersive. Like when you're not running into the walls of what they've created, like that makes it obviously a game. It was unreal, like the amount of dialogue, the things you could do. Like every new planet seems so, like you go to Mars and there's all this stuff going on. Like there's a ship landing in the night time, and the takeoff thing is cool. And you know there's like loads of depth to the little towns and that you go into. You're wandering around like a, you know, some of the missions you have to do. One of them is like you have to design a spacecraft and like pull a marketing team together to sell it, or whatever, and then you get it. Then there's one where, an amazing one where you accidentally run into this like ship that left Earth ages ago, so they're older tech, but they've only just arrived, so you're ahead of them. Oh, I better shut this off in a minute. That was an amazing mission. There's one where there's an AI out of control, obviously. There's a Titanfall 2-star mission. It's just, there's so much amazing stuff in this game. But the trouble is, there's loads of like rubbish as well, and if you concentrate on going into random caves and stuff and just mining everything, it can get really boring. And the first time you see this is exactly the same cave twice, you're just like, like it hurts it a lot. But yeah, when the game is firing well, it's absolutely incredible. Some of the main story stuff is great, and some of it is rubbish as well. So it's very much a hard one to place on the list, depending on which bits you did. But yeah, still definitely something, because I always like the sci-fi games from Bethesda more than the Elder Scrolls ones. So this is the one I was waiting for. So yeah, great game that I recommend. And the funny thing is, I was really immersed for the first 20 hours, and I didn't even have an SSD. So every time you talk to a person, it would like sit there for about 30 seconds, and then they would talk. And even that wasn't pulling me out. It sort of tells you how just how immersive it was. Right, let's get on to the next one. And the space combat was really cool. Okay, so another one. This is a difficult one to place as well. I think a lot of people, this gets a lot of hate out of nowhere to me. This is one of those things where it's like Destiny 2, where people who play it loads and loads and loads and just want to do all the endgame stuff don't like it, because they're like, oh, why isn't it doing this? But I'm always like slowly playing it in the background. Like same with Destiny 2, we never really ran into anything that made me annoyed at that game. And the same with this, I didn't get to level like 80, or I got to like 70, I think. But the reason, at times, this should have been even higher on the list, because the main thing about this one is the build composition in this. I feel like it was the most natural I've ever felt. Like where I kept thinking in my mind, oh, what about if I try and do this, or if I do this and match this? And you would, you'd have options to like build, a cooldowns build or a freeze build or whatever, or a druid lightning build. But I didn't feel like the game was making me do that. Like it probably was, but it was really organic. Like that felt amazing. Like you start getting paragons, and there's one that boosts cooldowns. It just felt incredible. Like I love the build stuff in this game. It just feels like you're learning things yourself. Like if you're not playing it like sort of min-max. So I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. So Sorcerer for the win. That was easily the best class, thanks to the insane passive thing that they get, which is incredible. So yeah, really cool. So yeah, absolutely loved Diablo 4. I never got to the final difficulty or whatever. I have no intention of doing it. But yeah, great game. Right. Okie dokie. Numeros Fivos. Oh, Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, this is brilliant. This is going to be a lot of top 10s for a very good reason. This is such a fresh game, just really cool. Like incredible voice acting, really good soundtrack. There's one absolutely amazing section in this which you need to see to be believed, where it's like Prodigy music, and that one whole section of the game is just a complete 10 out of 10. There's really inventive boss fights where you have to lose and things like that in an interesting way. And one of the great one-on-one fights of the generation is the one against that woman. Oh, I can't remember her name, but it's like a dance battle, but it isn't. That is stunning. probably a good game enough for me. Yeah, I didn't buy it, but yeah, obviously having like Game Pass this year helps for this again, as it seems to any year for like Game of the Year. Although I've finally run out of cheap Game Pass, I have to actually pay real money for it now, which is a shame. So that might impact next year's. Okay, but yeah, absolutely. And it just felt really like the length is perfect. It was really fun and builds on itself all the time, and it wasn't like too long at all. So yeah, really cool. All the characters are good. Yeah, and the rhythm mechanic didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like I cared about it that much. It was just fit into the game. It doesn't sort of stand out in a special way. It was just like, oh, that's cool. That's what you want to be doing. So yeah, great stuff. Then a game that kind of similar, but in the same way, it's like very music based. Absolute 10 out of 10 stellar game here. Basically, it's new Jet Set Radio, and I suspect this is probably better than anything Sega will do. This one I just jumped on, played it, and just completed it, did everything in the game virtually. And then just listen to the soundtrack for like months straight. The soundtrack is an 11 out of 10. It's the greatest we've seen in an unbelievable amount of time. It's better than, some of the other Jet Set Radio stuff. So yeah, awesome. They'll be able to, skate on roofs, going through some of the psychedelic stuff in this game is. Oh no, did I mess it up? Oh, I think we're in trouble. Do I have to restart the source thing? Hang on. Yeah, so it's Final Fantasy 16 is the next one, but it's not going to be a video. Oh, it is. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so okay, I'll move on to the next game then. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16. No, this is really, really difficult game to place on the list. It probably isn't third in the year, but I'll try and explain it. Basically, the combat in this game is absolutely outstanding and is always fun. That was the main reason I bought a DLC, just to play more of that. But the build-up from this game, from the very beginning, up to the point where you fight Bahamut, is unreal. If that was the whole game, this would be number one in the year, and it wouldn't even be a question. Like, that is flawless, and that Bahamut is obviously the last fight of the game, and it couldn't get better. But then it falls off hugely and just goes in really stupid and weird directions, and it feels like loads is missing. And although the final battle is good, it's like everything is a step down after Bahamut. I'm not really sure what happened. Odin ability in this game is the best. It can't be topped by anything else in the game, or probably any other combat this year. So yeah, and the character of Sid is really good, and obviously Torgal is really cool. Yeah, so just play this game until you beat Bahamut, and then switch it off and be happy that it was the best. Because yeah, really. Although it's funny, it's like less RPG than most Final Fantasies, so you do lose out on that aspect, but it is awesome, and obviously the music's good. Just some things you just cannot believe you're seeing in some of the fights in this. Some of probably the best graphics of the year, I'd say. Like, crazy stuff. Alright, so it's Final Fantasy 16. Right, okay. There's an obvious one that's just sort of, when they make these games, it's like, this will be automatically included on every top 10 probably, and it is. It's just, yeah, they know how to make unbelievably good games. So Spider-Man 2. Going into this, for whatever reason, I wasn't that hyped. I didn't really watch anything about it. I thought, well, it's just going to be more, because it already looks like a good PS5 game on the other one. But yeah, even right from the get-go, it's just awesome. Like, brilliant storytelling. Like, it's one of those where you probably find this, Jim, in a lot of games. It's open world, but whenever a bit of story ends and it's like you can go off and do stuff, you just want to think, what the hell? I want to see what the story does. Like, I'm no interest in going somewhere else. So you just go straight into the next story bit, and then it's exciting again. Yeah. So the playoff between like the 3 or 4 main characters is just always excellent. And the ending is phenomenal as well. That's what really helps. Like, obviously with FF16, when you get to the ending, it's like they made some fails before here, but in this it really goes up and up and up, and then it's just absolutely awesome ending. So yeah, great job. And obviously Venom is cool. So yeah, really, really, it's just probably the least surprising game to get onto a top 10 this year as a Spider-Man dose. And then number 1 is probably Jim was not surprised because he played it with me. This game just took my breath away. I couldn't believe how good it was. Yeah, so Jedi Survivor. It's one of those where, for whatever reason, people were saying, it's got all these tech problems. Maybe it did on PC, but I don't think we saw anything. It just, I love the first one, but it certainly wasn't like a game of the year. But it's just a story in this one. It was awesome. Loads of cool stuff I wasn't expecting. And the combat was a little bit easier, which is good, because it was just kind of overly impossible in the first one. And the other thing, the reason I like this game so much, it just feels like it's good, like gameplay freedom, where loads of games have invisible walls, and even when they don't, it's kind of like, we want you to go on these corridors, and you certainly can't go off anywhere. But in this, you can always jump and dash about everywhere like a maniac, and you can always fall off to your death. There's no restrictions. Because they have that, whenever you're in any area in the game, you're like, you want to look around. It's like, is there a secret behind me up here on this wall? And there frequently is. Like, it's really fun and exciting to just explore like this. like explore around and just find cool stuff. I love that in games, and they really, really take advantage of it here. But yeah, the main surprise is just awesome stuff towards the end with the baddie and everything. Like the scene when you're in the baddie's house, you get there before he gets there. That was so tense and incredible. I was not expecting anything like that from Jedi Survivor. Like, yeah, and obviously, and again, the graphics are probably equal top of the year. Like, it did everything right. I can't believe how good it is. So yeah, it never would have guessed this would be Game of the Year this year. Just unreal, near flawless game. So let's move on. Yeah, so the next bit I think is if I go here. So just wanted to do a separate section because some of these VR games have like been very affecting this year. Like been extremely, getting into VR2 a bit more, and like extremely intense and amazing, and giving me like experiences like nothing else. So again, like we did with the top 10, here's the sort of what do you call it? Shout out, whatever, honourable mention first, which is Alcohol Reference, which is Before Your Eyes. So Before Your Eyes is a game. The reason it doesn't get to top 3 is because it's like they make it to make you cry. It's basically a story about like going through real hardships and then retelling it. It does it in a very clever way with like unreliable narrator and everything like that. It's very clever, but it's just straightforwardly trying to make you cry. And guess what? It did. What a surprise! Like, it sort of plays your emotions in a very intense way. And it obviously because it's in VR, you're kind of in it. You are the character. So yeah, it's good, but it's not up there with these other top 3, which are like really freaking good. So all these next 3 I say you should just get on VR. They're absolutely stellar. So right, so I couldn't find a trailer for this on PSVR 2. It doesn't exist. So Moss Book 2. So it's funny because this is one of those like third-person VR games. You don't see many of them. And like Moss Book 1 was good. I thought it was probably like an 8 out of 10. It's a good game. It's fun, but it's never really that adventurous. It's not, I don't know. It just wasn't that great. So it's weird. I just already had Moss Book 2. I thought I'll boot it up on this, and it's amazing. It's an absolute 10 out of 10. Like the ending of this game is emotional and incredible. It's just, the visuals and the boss and everything. The way it builds up to that final boss fight is incredibly good, and it really hits you in VR hard. And also you've got upgrades in this one. It's much more of like a full game in every way. Like this is what Moss Book 1 should have been, basically. So they really, really like took it up a massive notch, like from an 8 out of 10 games to an absolute 10 out of 10 in this one. And you even get to play other characters, obviously you see there. So yeah, that's exactly what your like third-person platforming VR games should be. Just like that. So please play. If you were like playing Book 1 and thought, I don't need to get 2, please try it. I think you'll probably enjoy it. All right, so let's go on to Numerous 2. So I mean, this one's a no-brainer. Like, it's pretty much everybody's favorite VR game of the year. Gran Turismo 7 in VR. It just, I think anybody can enjoy this game. It just, if you've driven a car in real life, you're probably going to play this and go, oh my god. As soon as you're in there in the car, it is intense as hell. And the fact that it's the full game, which keeps getting updates in VR for no extra cost, is awesome. Looking at the other person in the car when you're driving past them, like the lighting, it's just some really beautiful scenes. And one thing I strongly recommend to do as well in this, which is my favourite race in the game by far, is that the music races, you probably play a couple and think, well, these are fine, like I don't need to do all these. Unlocking the last one, the last race in this in VR, in the music race, is unbelievable. It's the best race in the game by far. It's just almost like emotional. It's mega intense and good. So yeah, awesome game. Given the movie called Gran Turismo. Oh yeah, because they actually do use like they actually train in Gran Turismo and then they go off and race in real life and they like progress to like the academy. I don't know, but it is really cool. The only thing I hate, because I'm getting to be getting worse at VR. I was getting a bit better, like at surviving it, like not feeling ill, and then getting worse again. The main problem with this game is the tracks that are flat, I'm fine, I can do it. But if there's one with like ups and downs, it kills my brain. Like I have to just stop playing, which is really annoying. So I have to play some of it out on flat screen, then put the headset on and play those. So yeah, that's not the game's fault, but it's annoying. The plot point was a kid. Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, so I think he wasn't. I think that was his prior to VR. They certainly were doing that academy before they launched this. But yeah, he trained on the game loads. Probably Gran Turismo 5 or 6. It's quite a while ago, or even Sport. I don't know. And then yeah, they obviously bring him into the academy, and he starts driving, I guess, slow cars, and then they just like a real, what do you want to call it, like apprentice driver going into professionals would do in real life, and then moved up to like race cars and everything. I don't think they could just immediately jump. I better hydrate. Get that cherry Coke Zero. Second best drink of the year after coffee. Nice one, thanks, Woody. yeah, so yeah, Gran Turismo 7. That's probably the number one game I think anyone can probably enjoy, even if you're not like a big sim racing fan. It'll blow your mind basically getting into the cars in this game. All right, and the number one is obvious. Alex, personally one of my favorite games ever, and the second best VR game of all time outside of Alex is Paper Beast VR, which is this is just such a weird word to use for a game, and I don't think I've ever used it in a game before. But one of these levels in this game is like profound to me, like it actually affects you, and I felt myself like changing my breathing. It's insane. I don't know how it does that, but it just I love this game because it's very non-gamey, where there's no HUD or anything. You're just in a world, and there's all like different animals with different AIs, and you're not told go here, here's a goal, or what you should do. You just look at it, mess with the plants. You can mess with like water, almost like gravity and stuff. You can like do some terraforming, and I don't know what to say. Like some of the levels are just mega intense. Like I think it's mostly the music and what's happening because you're in it, and the graphics are so beautiful. This is the one I think everyone should play. Like it just hits you so hard. There's loads of levels like that, but there's one of them right at the end where I can just stand there in awe, like because even as like if you're like a tech analyst, what is happening graphically is ridiculous. It seems impossible, and you're like in it, and I don't know, it just really hit me very very hard. So it's a truly incredible game. It's like it's one of the only games I think that's on the level of Alex, which exists. I wish they would do more like not based on not trying to be realistic graphics games in VR, because they can be really intense and amazing. So yeah, please pay attention to this great game. Don't play it on 2D. Like you can play it on flat screen on PC, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, you got some of the cool storms. This is an amazing bit in the game of VR. You got to like keep them alive against these enemies and stuff. Yeah, it's just unreal. 10 out of 10, 100%. I literally just finished playing it again today. I thought I've got to refresh my memory and see if it's as good as I remember. It's like, holy shit, it might be better. This is a really, really cool bit with like the anti-gravity, and the water simulation physics are great as well. Yeah, so cool. They're showing most of the game here. It's a bit of a spoilers, but yeah, awesome. Right, so that's the end of that. So I'm trying to think. So a lot of games you're probably thinking, hey, where's Tears of the Kingdom? Where's Alan Wake 2? Where's X? Because obviously I haven't played them or finished them. I have to finish the games. So if I go to the next one, so these are the ones that I thought were great, but I didn't finish them. So Baldur's Gate 3, obviously I'm playing it very slowly with friends, so we're not even out of Act 1. That is awesome, and I've no doubt it's going to be one of the top games of the year once we actually finish it, which could be 100 years from now. Alan Wake 2 is brilliant, but the thing about Alan Wake 2 is like the Alan sections are amazingly good. Like they're just awesome. Even like some of them are just better than anything that's happening this year. Some of the very interesting things go on in that game. But the section with a woman, it's a lot like Alan Wake 1, which is probably fine for most people because they haven't played Alan Wake 1 for like 10 years. But I played it straight before playing Alan Wake 2, so doing a lot more of that. It's just like and I kind of fell off. I did all the Alan bits, I think, and then I just played more of hers, and I was like, well, I've just done so much of this. Wandering around dark forests and fighting monsters. It was just like, okay, I guess I'll come back to this later. So people say that when they finish it, they think it's the best. So maybe it comes back again, but yeah, it fell off a little bit. RoboCop, amazingly good surprise. The thing is about that developer Teven or whatever it's called. They made like Rambo, one of the worst games for an entire year. That was a while back. Then they made Terminator, which is really good, and it's like an 8 out of 10 game. And then RoboCop's brilliant. Like it's so good. Based on the movie, it fits with that era. Like you're in the police station. And it's got the exact right comedy that you would want from a RoboCop game, like in that world. Like they all loads of the best bits of the game are just talking to people, which is crazy for a RoboCop game. And obviously you got the cool gun. You can even use other weapons. You can throw stuff. So obviously you're very strong. ED209 is in it, stuff like that. So yeah, if you like RoboCop, it is just fan service all the way through in the best way. The only thing I would say is maybe play it on easy, because on the as playing it as a normal video game, you're like, I'll shoot an enemy and then I'll hide. It's like that's fine, but if you're RoboCop, you should be able to just wade in and just like kill everybody. So maybe you want to play it on easy for that experience. Then Void Stranger, a game which is very hard to recommend to anybody. It's a game where it's going to be because the games these guys make are very meta, so it's really weird where you why am I playing this for a while, and then it flips on its head. That's kind of their thing. But there's like 160 levels or whatever, I think, or it might be more, of just playing these like boring blocks pushing puzzles. And I'm only playing that through that because I know there's something at the end, which is amazing, and I still don't really understand what the game's trying to do. It's very weird. But it's a really hard sell to say to somebody, why don't you play 160 levels of a bad game and then it will get great? Like that's really bad. Like that's too much bad. Whereas With Zero Ranger, their other game, it was fun and the music was amazing, so that pulled you through the normal bits to get to the great bit. Whereas the music in this is mostly not very good, so it really hurts it. So yeah, I really wish that was, I don't know, a bit more balanced, but it could be really good once you get to the later game. Fire Emblem again, it's really good, but I'm used to Shining Force where you can just throw your guys into the battle, kill most of your own guys, and get through. Whereas this, obviously, if you lose them, you permanently lose them. So I'm kind of stuck where I have just the team left. If anyone else dies, I'm screwed, and it's just getting too hard. So I'm kind of stuck on that. And then Anonymous Code, really odd. Like I love the Steins Gate science adventure series games. They're nearly all amazing. Like Steins Gate is a 10 out of 10, and some of the other ones are just very good. And this one seems great, and it was like really fun. I was really into it. And then I think it was like Final Fantasy or something came out, and I dropped it. And then once you drop it, there's so many weird concepts going on in that game about time travel and worlds and everything. You never really want to pick up again because it's like I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it was a bit hard to get back to that, sadly, but it seems really good. It might be one of the better science adventure games based on what I've seen. Okay, so that's that, right? And then we've got the El Shaddai Award, which is the award for best game that didn't come out this year, but I played it this year. So El Shaddai, obviously famously, is the first one and probably the greatest example that you could ever imagine. So the one this year is an absolute masterpiece, Disco Elysium, the final cut. I heard about this game a lot, knowing it was good, and just never played it. And thought I'll just get to it this year. And holy crap, this is the year this came out. This definitely would have been my number one. It just has a like adventure game experience like nothing I've ever seen. Like it's another one like Atomic Heart where it does weird things that no games are doing. Where you've got like this mental picture in your mind of what you want to be, so you can be like a hobo or like I don't know, a bad cop or whatever, and you put it together and you get skills and everything. And then it's loads of really interesting talking. It's a lot of like political stuff, so if you're not into that, you can choose to be any kind of like political person, like evil or good or whatever. But like really interesting stories and like what you can talk to people about, what you can do, and all that wraps up really, really well and philosophically in that. And one of the other things I really like about this is the final cut. Whenever you're talking to people, you've got like things in your mind. So like your ego or your id or whatever. They talk to you and it's all voiced, and the voices are great. So it's so cool when you talk to someone, and then it's like, oh, you're attracted to her, aren't you, or whatever. And he's like, oh, you just talk to her normally. He's like, oh, go on, then ask her out. That's not a very good example of it, but the fact that it has all that and it's really nicely done. And the skill checks are very clever. Like, really cool game. It has no equal. Like, there's no one else doing games like this one. So yeah, highly recommend that. And then what we did in the last year, we had like another game in the El Shaddai Award, which is a really niche game, which no one would probably think to play. Which is last year was affordable space adventure, which is you need 3 people and to have a Wii U to play it. So no one in the world played it, but it was great. So that was cool. So this year's one, which I had probably the most fun with any game this year, is You Draw on the Wii Pictionary, a game which probably no one remembers or thinks exists or would ever want to play again or has a You Draw tablet. It's amazing. This is like, if you enjoy Pictionary with your family, this is the greatest possible way to play it, and it's been amazing every time you played it. So yeah, very shocking, surprising game. You just throw in one time because I got it in a bundle of a Wii U I bought, and it's like, oh my god, this game's awesome. So so yeah, I had to throw in a random one there that won't be on anybody's list because it's just been so incredibly fun. So you got your range of games there, and that is your Games of the Year stream. So that's everything. I'd say the only last thing to say is I didn't put any DLC in here as a thing, but I've just finished the God of War DLC, and it is unbelievable. It's an absolute must play. If you played God of War Ragnarok, it's not just a roguelike as I thought it was. The story part is unbelievable, and it's better than most of the games on this list. So yeah, definitely play that. It's because it's free as well. So if you have God of War, it's just it's essential. So yeah, there we go. That's me Games of the Year stream, gang. I guess really glad that you were here to see this. Thanks, dudes. And glad all the there was no tech issues, like all the videos went off without a hitch. So brilliant stuff. So yeah, look forward to another year of great games and good streaming. I guess all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you next year on Channel Lolicon. Bye.